Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul,
And I'm Patrick.
and we're going to be talking about the Sony Spider-Man Power Play.
Ooh. We do videos every Tuesday and Thursday. You should really come back and check them out. Check our video section on the site. You'll love it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, everybody in the world knows that something happened with Spider-Man. It was something to do with Sony and Disney not getting on anymore, and they all broke up, and everybody's like, oh, Spider-Man's over forever. We're not going to recap all of that because it's still an evolving situation.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about maybe why it happened or what the hell was going on. So, Paul, you have a theory that it might have been a Sony power play.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a power play for the fact that, some of the stuff that's, to me, it sounds like Sony doesn't want to get caught up into the vortex that is Disney too much. So being able to walk away and show the fact that they are willing to shows that, they're also not willing to in any way get sucked into this vortex that is Disney right now. So, so we know...
I see what you're saying, but do you think they actually think to that level? Do you think they're like, ooh, we got to be careful?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do think that there's a level of executives there that have seen the strategy and the fact that they've seen what's happened to Fox.
Okay.
And the Fox was solely enveloped by Disney and now is being gutted completely.
That's true.
So why would you in any way be wanting to show weakness in the front of that monster, where you can just go, listen, you are just not they came, because obviously we all know that they came with an offer of, or they came with a renegotiation of their contract of wanting 50% of the first dollar gross.
Yeah. So for those of you at home that haven't soaked all this up, the original Sony and Disney deal for Spider-Man was Sony make the movies, Marvel Disney get 5% of what the movie makes. Mm-hmm. Now, they don't pay for it, Sony pays to make it, but it's because Sony has certain ownership rights over the Spider-Man brand and name and character. There was a renegotiation happening, and Disney came back and said, instead of 5%, we want 50%.
Yeah.
Which does sound like a pretty big jump.
It is.
Sounds like a negotiating tactic.
And it does a negotiation tactic, but the other thing is was there another part of that deal that we don't know about, and the fact that Marvel also said that they would put in money?
Oh, there was. Yeah, that was
okay,
that's
come
out. Yeah,
sorry.
Marvel were going to talk about paying to,
because then that's where the power play kind of thing is. We do not want essentially the movies to be in any way half and half, because we want to make sure that we do not want this to be the first group of our movies get sucked into the thing and stuff. As you've said before, Into the Spider-Verse was made completely by Sony itself, no Marvel involvement.
Absolutely,
it's a beauty of a film.
It's the best Spider-Man film so far ever. Now, and to that point of Disney asking or saying, "Oh, we'll put up money to help make it," Sony couldn't have that, because legally, if the minute Disney or Marvel pay $1 for production, that would change the dynamic of Sony's ownership of the Spider-Man character. It would dilute that, and the biggest thing that Sony has in his back pocket is that Marvel sold up Spider-Man in all sorts of crazy ways, because Marvel were financially really, really ruined at the time. So Sony have a say over what happens to Spider-Man all the way down to the comics and back again. They have way more input than people might realize. The weird thing for me is I kind of agree it was a power play, but I think in not a completely different way, but in a slightly different way. I think when Disney came with their big offer, I think they expected Sony to go, no, that's not acceptable. How about 15%? And you don't pay anything. I think it was negotiating, but I think Sony took one look at it and went, yeah, like you say, we don't want to be beaten up by the big kid. But more than that, I think they thought, that big kid's looking really busy right now. We could actually do something. Venom did quite well for us. We've been making, if you adjust for inflation, we've been making really successful Spider-Man films way before the MCU existed. Spider-Verse came along, is lauded as one of the best. We did that without Kevin Feige or Bob Iger or anybody being involved. Why don't we actually? If they're going to push us around, why don't we just go and do what we do really well? Let's take our toy that they sold us and go home and maybe play in our own universe, and maybe see where we can take that. Because they had the Venom do quite well, the Venom movie do quite well, people have been talking about the Venom verse.
Yeah.
Now they can actually talk about the Spider-Verse, literally.
Yeah.
So I think they might have been thinking of a whole other power play of, oh, you shouldn't have annoyed us, because now not only are we walking away, we're coming back to get you with our stuff.
Yeah, because we also had the third theory, which is kind of more of our kind of like hope and stuff like that, is the fact is that this could be with the amount of like Disney's properties coming out of Marvel and stuff like that in such a big way. Is it a good idea that Spider-Man takes a break in its own universe or backyard or whatever kind of thing? Is it a good idea? Because we've been saying that Marvel should take a break. Could this be an idea of it is really good idea that Spider-Man takes a break? Yeah.
So that idea that Marvel should take a break isn't because we don't love their stuff. It's because you got to be careful. You might burn out and saturate the brand completely. So yeah, maybe Spider-Man getting out of this car before it reaches the cliff might be a good thing for Spider-Man and Sony in general. They may well be protecting their own future.
Yeah.
There may be a few angles to how they have to do that.
Yeah. Because we like the Spider-Man that's come out. Tom Holland is a great like Peter Parker and stuff like that. But is it a good idea right now for the Spider-Man franchise itself to take a break, to get itself into its own position, which it can go head to head to some of the Marvel films? And the fact is that when the Marvel films do burn out and we're kind of like, oh, we're sick of them.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man is still, like, Sony's still making good Spider-Man films.
Well, that's it. Yeah, be the thing that DC should have been. You know, be the other side. Be the competitor that is separate to the MCU. But also, what happens if you leave Spider-Man in there and they weave him even further in and further in? You're going to find it very difficult to take him back out at any future point.
Yeah.
Also, and I'm going to say that a lot because a lot of stuff is occurring to me right now.
Yeah.
Like, they were turning Spider-Man into Tony Stark Jr.
Yeah.
The Iron Spider was the start of something that they ended up really running with. He's Junior Iron Man at this stage.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want your property that is, because everybody I know, Marvel is Spider-Man, but Sony have the keys. They've got the lease, all right? It's whatever way you want to look at it. Why would they want somebody else melding or melting or molding their character into something that publicly, in the public imagination, will be very hard to extract them out of again, ever, or do any of the other side characters without them being associated with, like, why doesn't Spider, like, you're doing a Spider-Gwen film, cool, how come she doesn't have like repulsors and an Iron Man suit?
That's my take on that is the fact is that it's, why would you have someone pushing further and further into the center of their franchise for the fact that when you do take him out, you're seen as the bad guys?
Well, yeah,
that's my thing.
You're gonna be hated,
because like if the fact is that this character becomes such a beloved centerpiece for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when you do eventually go, well, we have to remove him, we have to get rid of him out of this thing because like he is getting diluted in the franchise. There's so much stuff out there, we have to pull him out so that we can run our own stuff and get our franchise kind of up and running. That's going to be very hard when, from audience perspective, you're the bad guy. Then you're taking away this beloved character from the universe because, as it would seem, I'm taking my ball home because I don't like.
Well, people have already started the whole boycott Sony and all that kind of crap. Yeah. So like, nah.
Like how much worse is that going to be? 10 film or like 5 films down the road.
Much worse. You know? It's thinking more and more about it. And look, let's face it, folks. We all know that Sony and Disney are talking. They are, even if they're not publicly talking. They probably want to continue this relationship. It's maybe all one big negotiating tactic. But if I was in Sony's shoes, we're like, no, now is the only time that we can do this. We've already pulled the Band-Aid off a bit. They may want to just pull it all the way off and go, yeah, no, now is our chance. People will hate us for a short while. If we get it right, great. If we don't, maybe then we could try and get back to the table. We might have lost a bit of bargaining power, but Marvel might need us more down the road than they do today.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So
We just both said who knows, and it's like, well, then I guess we better end this video.
Well, like it's an interesting kind of tactic for the fact if it's a power play and the fact that they want to avoid the vortex thing. Interesting enough that they're able to see that far ahead. If it's a power play just for negotiation things, that makes more sense as a kind of business sense.
Yeah.
Is it someone going as a creative sense? It's better just to take a break, and we like, was it that someone was also went to Marvel Studios and went, you should take a break, and they went no, and also give us 50%.
And you know what? We're one news cycle away from people talking about the fact that Universal have some sort of rights over Hulk as well. At least it's not to the same level as this whole Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
So he's not likely to be ripped out. But God, look, we've got to get to a point where all of these studios, they should all keep playing together and playing separately. The best thing that can happen for all of us is almost having two Spider-Man universes at this stage.
Yeah.
The public aren't quite ready for that yet.
No.
Well, we'll see.
Well, like, we're going to discuss in another film possibly in the future, like, you know, is all the studios that have some kind of loaded gun against Marvel going to start using them?
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be an interesting video, I say.
Oh, when you're the biggest kid in the playground, that's fine until everybody else on the playground hates you and is like, this lunchtime we're getting them.
Yeah, like is this possibly a start of that, or is it, as we said originally, just the power plays and stuff like that, negotiations? So
it could be the nick, it could be the drop of blood in the water, and the rest of the sharks will come circling. You never know.
So, what do you think? Do you think that this is a power play in the fact that Sony doesn't want to get involved in the big boys' playgrounds too much? Is it a negotiation tactic? Do you think that it's actually a creative thing in the fact that they want to take a break and give their franchise essentially a bit of time to
breathe? Yeah,
kind of thing. Or is there a fourth option that you guys have, you know?
Yeah, let us know in the comments down below. And while you're down there typing, just get your little mouse or your little finger if you're on your phone, hit the little subscribe button. It likes being touched. Don't make it weird. Just say goodnight, Paul.
Good night, Paul.
I've been Patrick,
and I
regret
Paul.
Everything I said. We've been Hear Us Out.
And I've been Paul. Yeah, we have been Hear Us Out. See you later.